Hi, welcome everybody. We're just going to leave it a minute or so for people's screens to load up. So please bear with us. Numbers are going up, Joe, so that's good.
Yeah.
As long as they're not going down.
Yeah. Or start going down halfway through.
Don't be silly, they won't. They'll be good. All be good. Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to Peabody's Online Jobs and Apprenticeship Fair. My name's Nikki and I work for Peabody. We're joined today by Joe Brennan from Joe Brennan Training, who will be delivering the main session today. This event's being recorded and will be made available on our YouTube channel, which you can find by searching Peabody London on YouTube. We'll be hearing from Joe before opening up for a Q&A session. And if you do have any questions you want to ask that you think of throughout the presentation, please pop them in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screens and we'll try and get through them all if we can. There's also a chat function available if you'd like to leave any comments, please do. Before we start, I'd like to say a warm welcome to everybody and in particular to any Peabody residents that we have joining us today. I'd like to remind you that we offer a one-to-one career service, which is completely free for all our residents. More information is available on our website. You can get help with things like CV writing, how to search better for a job, and even preparing for an interview. Please do get in touch with the team if you're interested in any of that help. I'm going to hand over now to Joe, who's the director of Joe Brennan Training, to kick off. Joe, it's over to you.
Thanks, Nicola. So good afternoon, everyone. My name's Joe Brennan from Joe Brennan Training. Joe Brennan Training is what's known as an ATA, which is an apprenticeship training agency. And we work with a number of contractors and developers all across London, where they have a requirement to have local people on site as apprentices, and we do it on their behalf. The main thrust of what we're trying to do is obviously get people qualified, but more importantly, getting a job in the industry at the end of it. Okay, can I have the next slide, please, Nicola? What we do, so we find, interview and recruit people from the local area. So as I said, most of the jobs, they do have to be local. So for instance, if the job is in Barnet, then it needs to be Barnet residents and so on and so forth. Sometimes we do get a little bit more flexibility in that we can recruit from surrounding boroughs, but that's kind of like the main premise of it. We directly employ the selected apprentices on a PAYE basis rather than on self-employed, so directly employed by Joe Brennan Training. And then we will enrol the apprentices with the training provider who will deliver the apprenticeship standard. That training provider will depend on maybe the training provider that the candidate is already with, or if we think there's somebody more suitable, then we will select that training provider. Once we place apprentices on site, then we do monitor their progress and also the training provider progress, and make sure that all the on-site assessments that need to be taking place as part of the qualification are done. We also conduct our own formal on-site reviews. So the first one is done after 3 weeks, and then they're carried out every 6 weeks after that. And it's basically, as it says, an on-site progress review. So it's monitoring how an individual is getting on site, but it also gives the opportunity for that apprentice to kind of say how they're getting on site. So it's conducted with a member of one of the JBT team, the apprentice supervisor and the apprentice themselves. So like I say, it gives the opportunity for the apprentice to say whether they're having a fantastic time on site and everything's going swimmingly well, or it might be a case where they're saying, well, they're enjoying it, but they're only doing first fix work. Could they get involved with the second fix, and so on and so forth. And then, as I say, also for the supervisor, it gives them the opportunity to speak to us about how they think the apprentice is getting on. And this is with the end goal of trying to get somebody employed at the end of it. So the idea of part of the idea of the reviews is really sowing the seed very early on with the contractor, is that we're not placing apprentices on site just for the sake of it, that there is an end goal in place. And so we do ask them to grade each apprentice on their job readiness on each review, which at the beginning will you know, understandably be quite low, but then as the experience is built on site, then that that grading should go up and up, so that then the last few reviews we're hoping to get 10 out of 10 for job readiness. So that's the kind of, you know, the main thrust of the program, what we're trying to do. Next slide, please. So the criteria. Now, most of the sites, we do have one or two that will take people under 18, but most of them are 18 or over. There is no upper age limit. Currently, the oldest apprentice we have on site is 68. So any kind of mature candidates out there, don't be put off. We tend to look for people who are working towards or have completed a diploma in their chosen trade. And the reason for this is because we are placing apprentices out on site with subcontractors. It's important that they've had some basic skills training and not going out completely green, because I don't think it would be fair on them or the contractors. That's very much a rule of thumb, saying they've completed diploma level studies. Sometimes we come across candidates who may not have done anything at college, but have quite a lot of informal experience out on site. So I like to work on a kind of case-by-case basis when we're considering candidates. If we are placing people who have been to college, then we would be looking for college reference, because obviously the attendance and punctuality is really important, because that's obviously going to be extremely important to us going forwards if we are going to be placing anyone on site. Candidates also need to be CSCS tested. If we come across candidates that we think are kind of site ready and suitable and they're not tested, then we can kind of help with that in terms of signposting, revision material, and in some cases funding the tests and cards. And then also, as I mentioned earlier, in most cases the apprentice needs to be resident in the borough where the job is being carried out. Right, what apprentices get. So we pay a wage of £374 a week, so that's £9.35 an hour. That will be going up. I think it's either going to be January or March. That'll be going up to £9.50 an hour. We provide subsidised travel expenses. So any apprentice is expected to pay the first £2 a day of any travel. Anything over that, then we would cover the cost of that. So apprentices will never pay more than £10 a week for their travel. You'd be entitled to 28 days paid holiday, which includes the 8 bank holidays. And when you're attending college, then those college attendance days you also get paid for. There is a statutory sick pay scheme, and as you can see, there's enrolment onto the employer contribution pension scheme as well. All apprentices also get a full set of quality hand tools and PPE. So coming from a trade background myself, I realise the importance of, if you're going to be taken seriously on site, it's important that you have decent tools. The tools that we provide are only hand tools at the beginning until you start progressing. The value of the tools depends on the trade, which trade we're placing on site, but on average it's around about £450 to £500 worth of tools, plus PPE. So we provide you with gloves, high vis, hard hat, boots, knee pads, everything you need to kind of keep you safe. Also, what we kind of pride ourselves on is the strong on-site college support and pastoral care. So we work very hard with our apprentices to kind of make sure that they can achieve their goal. Now, their goal is, obviously, as I mentioned earlier, complete the qualification and get a job in the industry. Now, sometimes things can happen in people's lives where it's impacting on their performance on site. And I also to all our apprentices is that if you are committed to this and you're going to turn up on time every day with the right attitude, want to work and learn, we'll do everything we can to help you. So we're also there to support people if they've got any issues going on off-site. I'm not saying that we're qualified to deal with everything, but we can signpost people or we can help out financially. There's all sorts of things that we can help out with, as long as we know about it. And something else that is kind of, we really kind of emphasize during anyone's induction is that if we don't know about issues, then we can't help. So it's kind of, all of that is kind of important. If there are any issues that any apprentice doesn't feel comfortable discussing with us, then they also have access to a confidential employee assistance program, which, as it says, is a confidential program that you can call up for advice and counselling, and if needs be, you're entitled to up to 8 one-to-one sessions with a counsellor if it's so needed. So the apprentice outcome, and what we're looking for, like I say, is industry recognised qualification. What you're going to get from it is invaluable on-site experience. No matter how much training you have in a college and everything, nothing beats actually being out there on site to get the experience and kind of progress your learning. And once you're into that career, once you've done your qualification, whatever trade it is, then there is the opportunity for career progression if you so wish. Some people will complete their trade and carry on working as a plumber, bricklayer, whatever. That's going to be their career, which is fine. Others may decide to set up their own business. Some people decide to go into management. But the key thing is once you've got that qualification and you're into the industry, then there is no limit to what you can do. It is down to you. And also when you go into the industry, there's potentially high salary. Now, a lot of people are always kind of focusing on the money, which is understandable. We all want to earn a good living and have a nice life. What I would say to people, if they haven't chosen what they're decided to do, don't concentrate on the salary at the beginning, because my view is if you get into construction, whatever you do, if you're good at it, you'll get well paid. If you're not good at it, you won't, and you probably won't survive. So it's really important that you choose the right trade. Currently, we have vacancies for all trades. We do trades and professional qualifications in the following boroughs: so Lewisham, Greenwich, Enfield, Waltham Forest, Barnet, Ealing, Welling. I think there's more on the next slide as well, Nicola. You see there Brent, Tower Hamlets, Newham, Hammersmith and Fulham. And vacancies come in all the time, so I could add Hackney to that list as well. Okay, so I think that's kind of us in a nutshell. Are there any questions?
There are, Joe. Thank you very much. That was really, really nice. It sounds like you just need a good attitude, and you'll be well looked after by you guys. So we've got quite a few questions come in. The first one: I live in Stanmore. Could I request for an apprenticeship?
Yes, certainly. I mean, if you go onto the website, there's an expression of interest form, and you can log your CV, update your CV rather. Currently, I know with Edgware that can fall into either Barnet or Harrow. We do have some vacancies in Barnet at the moment, so no, definitely, I'd encourage you to kind of get in touch.
Thank you. On that note, Louise has asked, do you ever have sites in Kensington and Chelsea?
Yes, we do occasionally, and I believe there is one. I won't say who the contractor is because we haven't got the contract yet, but there is one in the pipeline for us yet. Well, I'm hoping that we will get.
Excellent news. And the same question, another question from Louisa as well. What qualification or diploma do you suggest people do at college in order to be accepted onto an apprenticeship afterwards?
Ideally a diploma in their chosen kind of trade. So you can do a diploma in plumbing or a diploma in bricklaying or carpentry or whatever, so on and so forth. Sometimes people come to us and they've done multi-skills, but because they've done multi-skills, which is you do a little bit of plumbing, a little bit of bricklaying, a little bit of carpentry, that they've kind of decided, right, now that I've done that, I know this is what I want to do. I want to do carpentry limited. So sometimes we can take people at that level as well.
Thank you, Joe. Do you have support for CSCS cards, or should I have it already before applying?
Ideally, it'd be nice if you've got it already. In terms of support, what we tend to do is we can kind of give people advice on which app to get, how to book their test, because we can't book the test on behalf of them. What I always say to people, if they're booking any tests or anything like that, to keep their receipt if they're paying for it. If we end up employing them as an apprentice, we will reimburse that. In terms of getting the card, if they haven't got the card already, then we can apply for the card for them as well. In some instances, when we're ready to take somebody on, they may have done the test, but then I don't want to get too kind of bogged down in the detail, but just to let you know, sometimes they would need to do a health and safety level 1 award as well, which is like a one-day course that costs about £150 as well, that we would kind of fund that as well. So if we kind of think you're ready to go on site and you've got a few bits and pieces missing, then yeah, we would look at getting those so that we can get you onto site.
Okay, thank you. Do I have to live in one of those boroughs to apply?
I would say to anyone, if you're interested, just apply anyway. You can also request a callback on the website as well. So if anybody puts in a request a callback, I'll call them up to kind of have a chat with them. The reason why I say, even if we haven't got anything in the borough, I would say if you're interested, still request a callback or put in an expression of interest, because like I said earlier, jobs can come in all the time. Sometimes what happens to me is I will get contractors will ring me up, say, Joe, we've been on site for 2 years. We've got 9 months left. We haven't done anything about apprenticeships. We need to get apprentices on site. Can you help us right now? Other times we might hear about jobs and they're not going to be on site for a year, maybe 2 years. So it kind of depends. And what I'd say to anyone is if they're interested, you've got nothing to lose by putting in an expression of interest or sending us your CV. And like I say, you know, if you do want to call back, just put it on there as well. And I always call people back, and then I can discuss their individual cases with them.
That's good. That's good, Joe. Thank you. A message from Sigourney. I hope I said that right. I'm in Waltham Forest. I'd like to do electrical. I'm currently on level 2 at college, but I'd love an apprenticeship. How do I go about this? Just
contact us through the website. We're currently working on a job in Waltham Forest called Marlow Road, which is near Wood Station. We've got the current quota of apprentices on site there, but we are looking to place another 4 apprentices there on the next phase. I'm not sure of the timelines for that yet, but yeah, I would definitely welcome your CV.
Thank you. Do you have project management apprenticeships?
Yes, we have 3 site managers on site at the moment. They typically are people who have done either a BTEC level 2 in construction and the built environment, or sometimes we do get graduates as well.
Thank you. On a similar vein, any level 4 degree level apprenticeships available?
Yeah, and again, it kind of depends on the clients as to what they're asking for. So for instance, we've got one in Ealing at the moment where we've got a project manager and a quantity surveyor, and they're both on level 4 apprenticeships. So again, yeah, it does kind of depend. Most of the stuff that we do is trades. And like I say, it depends on what the client is looking for. But yeah, there are the professional qualifications as well.
Okay, thank you. You have answered this one, I think, live. Do you provide tools for apprentices, which I think you've already covered? The answer is yes.
Well, just to kind of add to that, actually. So yes, we do provide tools, a basic toolkit, hand tools only. But again, this is like an example of how we like to work on a case-by-case basis. If I come across somebody, let's say, who's already been out on site, or sometimes we get apprentices that have been made redundant, and they say to me, well, I've already got all of those hand tools. Well, there's no point me replicating that. What we will do then is buy the equivalent value and possibly power tools for them. So to enhance their toolkit, which can make them more employable and let them progress. Once we place apprentices on site anyway, even if we just provided hand tools, and then they want to build on that kit, the hand tools are free to them. They don't pay anything for that. If going forward they want to buy power tools, then we can get it on their behalf and they can pay us back. We'll work out a kind of a monthly repayment plan.
Thank you. How can I contact you or send my CV for choosing the best apprenticeship? I think they want a lot of your knowledge, Joe. They all want to get to you.
Okay, well, like I say, probably the best thing to do is to go on the website and request a callback, and then I'll give you a call and come and chat to you individually then.
Okay. Another person's asking where they do apply. So I think everything on that is to the website, and Joe will get back to you. Correct? Okay. Next question from Ali. Can I join an apprenticeship with a degree in project management?
That's a very good question. You can't do an apprenticeship in a subject if you have got a degree in that subject. So it can be a bit of a tricky one. What I tend to do is, if we get a situation like that, is to negotiate either with the local authority or with the client, the contractor. Say, look, we've got a really strong candidate. They've got a degree, let's say, in construction management. They can't do an apprenticeship because the funding rules don't allow it. They're a really good candidate. Can we place that person on site as a trainee manager? They're technically not an apprentice, but can they count towards your apprenticeship target? And in most cases, the organisation see fit, you know, that's a sensible thing to do.
Mm.
When I give you an
That's-
example, we had somebody who came to us who was doing, we want to take him on as a business administration apprentice. And initially the college said, well, no, they can't do it because they've got a degree in business management. But we just kind of argued the case of business management isn't the same as business admin. And then they kind of relented, and then that person did their apprenticeship. And they're just about to finish actually in February, I believe.
Okay, thank you. How much do you pay your apprentices?
Okay, so it's £374 a week gross, which is £9.35 an hour, plus travel expenses. So as I mentioned earlier, subsidised travel expenses.
And that's going up in January.
That's going to go up to £9.50 an hour, yeah.
Lovely. This question, I always like questions like this because I like seeing women on building sites and stuff. Do you actively recruit females for your jobs?
We don't necessarily target women, I suppose, but we always welcome women, and we have plenty of women on the programme. We work with, when I say work with, we're kind of in contact with women in construction. So I'm not saying that we go out there saying this place is only going to be for a female, but like I say, we would you know, actively encourage females to apply.
That's brilliant, thank you. Can we still get an apprenticeship if we don't go to college or university?
Again, that's a very good question. Because with the new standard apprenticeships, and again, I want to kind of get bogged down in all the detail, but they are very much, the new standards are very much employer-led and work-based. Now, there is always theoretical work to do on any apprenticeship, because you do have to learn the theory, and you do have to have English and maths, or work towards the English and maths. So there is some academic level there. But the idea is, we're kind of looking at different ways of delivering it. So it's not kind of like your standard one day at college, or it doesn't have to be your standard one day at college. A lot of the stuff that we like classes off the job training, because 20% of it has to be off the job training, can actually be carried out on site as well. So because we work with a number of different training providers, and training providers is a kind of catch-all phrase really, because you've got these private training providers who operate quite differently to colleges as such, how you would envisage an FE college. So there's a variety of ways of doing it, but I don't want to kind of mislead anyone that yes, there is in all of the trades and the qualifications, there is an element of theoretical work you need to do, and English and maths is a must.
Thank you. Do you have any construction boot camps?
We don't, but we kind of work with organisations that do. So I know we are due to visit, well, it's supposed to be last week at Lewisham College, where they're delivering a boot camp there. So I'll go and visit there, because I'm always on the lookout for new talent, but also we take part in the interviewing session as well. One of the training providers that we're working with at the moment, who's a private training provider, he's called it a boot camp. So he's setting up boot camps for some of our existing apprentices, because again, with the new apprenticeship, the new standard apprenticeships, you have to do an endpoint assessment, which is basically a practical test at the end of your apprenticeship. So this guy's running boot camps where he's going to be training people for that particular endpoint assessment, because there will be 3 different scenarios, and when you come to go and do your endpoint assessment, you don't know which one you'll be given. So the idea is to kind of train you up so that you know all 3. You know, we liken it very much to like doing your driving test, really, getting ready for that.
Okay, on the subject of driving, do you need a driving licence to apply for a plumbing apprenticeship?
No, you don't need a driving licence to apply for any of the apprenticeships. I think in the long term, it's going to help people if they can drive. But you know, when you're working in London, particularly, there's nowhere to park anymore anyway, so there's no point in driving. But then again, the work's not all sort of in London. But no, it's definitely not an essential.
Okay, thank you. A message here from a question here, sorry, from Cave. Is there a mechanical site supervisor apprenticeship?
The honest answer to that is I don't know. I think if you wanted to look it up, if you go on Google the Institute of Apprenticeships, they will list all the apprenticeships on there. and probably best look up there. My honest answer is I don't know.
Okay, thank you. We don't have any more questions in the inbox at the moment. Is there anything else you'd like to say, Joe, before we wrap it up? And when I am saying my final bits, if you wouldn't mind just popping your company address in the chat. There's been many requests of how to get to you.
Yep. No, I've nothing to add. Just to say thanks very much for attending, and thanks very much for all the questions. They're all really good questions. So thanks very much.
Sorry, Joe, it's a false alarm. We've got one more that's just coming now. Do you have any opportunities outside of London?
Yes. At the moment, this is a bit of a long shot, but I'm looking for a plumber and an electrician from Dartford. And we have got a number of opportunities in Welling in Hertfordshire. About six vacancies there. And I'm kind of willing to, I'm not even kind of pigeonholing which trades they are. Then I'm kind of willing to look more at the candidates, whether they're suitable or not, and then we'll fit them to the trade. So yes, there is some stuff outside of London.
Okay. Again, another one. What's the name of the website we apply to?
Right. I'm going to put it in the chat box now. What I do is I'll put in my email address as well, so people can email me.
That'd be great.
Directly.
That would be very good.
I will put in the website as well.
Thanks. While Joe's doing that, I'd just like to thank you, Joe, very much for all of that today. That was a really good lots of information from you about your wonderful organisation. Thank you everybody who has signed in and joined us today. Good luck with your search. I hope you find yourself a job or an apprenticeship. A reminder that we are running lots of other sessions over the remainder of today and also all day tomorrow. So if you haven't had a look at those, then please do. The recording of this session and all the others will be on our YouTube channel, and slides will be available on our website. But thank you. Joe, have you done it yet? I'm not going to go. I'll leave it a little while.
Should be on there now.
Everyone seeing that? Excellent. Quickly screenshot it if you haven't got it, or scribble it down. But thank you both. Thank you all, sorry. And yeah, take care. Have a lovely day.
Cheers. Thank you very much.